1000 LB sisters. Tammy got new teeth. Enjoyed a funny moment with Mom Darlene. Tammy Slayton had been through more transformations than most people could even imagine. From the earliest days of her journey on 1000 LB Sisters, she had faced obstacles that went far beyond the physical. There were emotional battles, setbacks, moments of doubt, and the constant pressure of living her life in the public eye. But if there was one thing that defined Tammy, it was resilience, even when it came wrapped in humor, stubbornness, and a whole lot of sass. And today was different. Today, Tammy had a new smile. The sunlight streamed through the window of the family home, landing softly across Tammy's face as she stared into a handheld mirror. Her expression shifted between disbelief and quiet pride. For so long, her smile had been something she avoided showing too much. But now she couldn't stop looking. Her new teeth were bright, even, and, most importantly, hers. They weren't just cosmetic. They symbolized everything she had been working toward. Every pound lost, every difficult choice made, every moment she chose not to give up, it all led here. Tammy tilted her head slightly, testing different smiles. Okay, she muttered to herself, lips curling upward. Who is she? She let out a small laugh, half amused, half emotional. It felt strange, new, almost like she was meeting a version of herself she hadn't known before. From down the hall came the unmistakable sound of footsteps, slow, familiar, and purposeful. Darlene, Tammy's mother, had always had a presence that filled a room, even before she spoke. Well? Darlene's voice called out before she even appeared. Darlene stepped into the room, arms crossed in that signature stance of hers, half curious, half ready to critique. All right, she said, squinting slightly. Let's see what all the fuss is about. Tammy hesitated for just a second. Not out of fear, but out of anticipation. This moment mattered more than she wanted to admit. Then, slowly, she turned toward her mother and gave her biggest, brightest smile. The reaction there was a pause. A long one. Darlene blinked. Well, I'll be, she muttered. Tammy's heart skipped. What? You don't like them? Darlene stepped closer, leaning in like she was inspecting a piece of fine art or trying to find something wrong. Open your mouth again, she said. Tammy sighed dramatically but obeyed, opening her mouth wide. Darlene tilted her head, then the other way. Then suddenly, she burst out laughing. Not a polite chuckle, not a soft giggle. A full, unapologetic, can't hold it in laugh. Tammy froze. Mom, what? Darlene waved her hand, trying to catch her breath. I ain't laughing at you. I'm laughing because I ain't never seen you look this fancy. Tammy crossed her arms, trying to stay annoyed, but failing. Fancy? Yeah, Darlene said, still grinning. You look like you about to go star in a toothpaste commercial. Tammy couldn't help it. She laughed. And when she laughed, she showed her teeth again, wide, unfiltered, and confident. Stop it, she said, swatting the air. You're just jealous. Jealous. Darlene scoffed. Of what? You grinning like you just won the lottery. I kinda did, Tammy shot back. You know how long I waited for this? Darlene softened slightly. There was a brief moment of silence, one of those rare, unspoken understandings between them. No sarcasm, no teasing, just acknowledgement. Then, of course, Darlene ruined it. Still looks weird, though, she added with a smirk. Mom. Later that afternoon, Tammy found herself back in front of the mirror. But this time, Darlene sat behind her on the bed, watching quietly. You keep looking at yourself, Darlene noted. Tammy shrugged. Can you blame me? No, Darlene said simply. That surprised Tammy. She turned slightly. Really? Darlene nodded. You've come a long way. The words weren't dramatic. They weren't wrapped in emotion or delivered with a big speech. But coming from Darlene, they meant everything. Tammy looked back at her reflection. Do you think people will notice? Tammy asked suddenly. Darlene raised an eyebrow. Notice? Girl, they're gonna need sunglasses. Tammy laughed again. I'm serious. I am too, Darlene replied. You smile like that in public, people gonna think you hiding a spotlight in your mouth. Tammy shook her head. You're so extra. And you love it, Darlene shot back. Tammy smirked. Maybe a little. The truth was, humor had always been their way of dealing with things. It wasn't always gentle. Sometimes it came off as harsh, but underneath it, there was connection. And today, that connection felt lighter. For Tammy, this moment wasn't just about teeth. It was about identity. For years, she had been defined by her struggles, her weight, her health, her challenges. And while those things were part of her story, they weren't all of it. This? As the evening settled in, Tammy and Darlene sat together watching TV. The room was quiet, comfortable. At one point, something on the screen made Tammy laugh again, loud and genuine. Darlene glanced over. There it was again. That smile. Big, bright, unapologetic. Darlene shook her head, smiling to herself. What? Tammy asked. Nothing, Darlene replied. Just, you look happy. Tammy paused. Then she smiled again, this time softer, but just as real. Yeah, she said. I think I am. The journey continues, of course. Tammy knew this wasn't the end of her journey. There were still challenges ahead. Still goals to reach. Still days that wouldn't feel as easy or joyful as this one. But moments like this, they mattered. They reminded her why she started. They gave her something to hold on to. And maybe most importantly, they showed her that change wasn't just happening on the outside, it was happening within. As they got ready to head to bed, Tammy caught her reflection one last time. She flashed a quick grin at herself. From across the room, Darlene called out, You smiling at yourself again? Tammy didn't even turn around. Yep, Darlene chuckled. Well, don't wear them teeth out now. Tammy laughed, shaking her head. I waited too long for this, she said. I'm going to use them as much as I want. And with that, she turned off the light, her smile lingering, even in the dark.